And hi everybody. So welcome back, I guess, to another speed draw that I have completed. I seem to be doing a lot of these lately, so I'm just gonna keep going until I get the next figures, which they've been on hold. So fun stuff. But anyways, this time I decided to draw. I'm just continuing kind of technically with my own characters, I guess, in a sense. But these are the characters that I play and that Corey plays in Final Fantasy XIV, since I've been playing that a lot with him. I've been enjoying it. So, I figured I'd, draw my little character. But anyways, so my character is the little tiny Lalafell, the little tiny boy. His name is ChaCha Bobo. I think I've said this before, but he's just a cute little magic boy. But I like playing as him because he's like my son. He runs around and just has a good time, saves the world, and his very serious little baby face. So I like that. I like him. Kind of just made him on a whim, but I feel like that's kind of why I like him even more than if I made like a character that was supposed to be like me but not me, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's him. And then there's Corey's character. He has, oh shoot, I don't know all the different races in the game, but he has the cat girl. Her name is I believe it's Kasu Atani or Kasu. I don't really know. I don't look that close into it. But either way, that's his girl in the back. And yeah, they're married in the game, and I wanted to just draw them hugging and being cute. So thought it'd be fun to do, and then I get to draw more complicated outfits, which I thought was gonna just be like a kind of quick thing for me to do, but it ended up taking a lot longer than I expected, just because I failed to realize just how complex some of these outfits are. I knew they were a little bit complicated, but it maybe didn't just kind of register in my brain when I first thought about it, especially once I actually started going in and at it, all the little details, all the little metal pieces. Also the game, when like the screenshots that we're using weren't like, the most absolute high res, so sometimes I'm like squinting my eyes looking at it. But when I first started this too, I started working on ChaCha first because I had the references, and then later on I finally got Corey to give me references for his character, so I ended up kind of having a really hardcore focus on his stuff and then focus on her stuff. So it worked out though. As always, I think there's more stuff I could have done for this, but this already took longer than I wanted it to. Like, it probably was in total work time like 5, maybe 6 hours. I'm not 100% sure, but longer than I wanted it to be, because my goal was quick sketch, but it never works out that way when I want it to. But yeah, I thought I'd draw them, have some fun. I can't really think of anything else art-wise that I wanted to mention for this. I feel like that's the biggest piece there. It took a bit to work on the actual sketch. At the beginning, you might have seen I did 2 passes for like this. I did like a super rough sketch, and then I did a rough sketch, and then I started doing the ink. It's a little bit different than maybe sometimes I feel like what I normally do, but that was just kind of the easiest way to do it, especially for these outfits, because there's really a lot of different pieces for this. But yeah, my little ChaCha, my son, he's a good boy. Let's see, but that's the art part. You know what time it is now? Time for me to talk about what I've been watching, which last time I basically covered everything. Let's see, I'm always binging something. Right now, I'm reworking through the first season of Hilda. It's an animated kid show that's on Netflix. But when I first watched it, it was like, when it first came out like 2 years ago. It's just a really cute little show. It's based off of, I believe, a webcomic. And it kind of feels like it too when you're watching the show, like with the way that it's colored, and the way that it, like the way the story is kind of worked out as well. It's very unique for a kid show, I feel like, with the way it presents like each episode, if that makes sense. Usually you kind of have like the one setting and the kids go out and play and do whatever, blah blah blah. I feel like the setting for the show, I feel like it changed a lot. Like the little girl Hilda, she first starts, they're living out in the forest in the middle of nowhere, and then her mom decides, you know what, no, we're gonna move to the city. And it happens like 2 episodes, maybe 3 episodes in. It's just odd. I don't know if it doesn't really. Again, I'm not really good at explaining these kind of things, but like it's very unique with the way it presents itself for a kid show. And I like all the characters. They're all cute. They're all a little more unique with their little Scottish accents. I believe it's Scottish. I'm not great at identifying accents, but I'm pretty sure. And it's just it's a very visually and unique and beautiful show as well. They have like a very consistent color palette. Like it's a lot of like orange, reds, browns, and teal. I feel like they don't tend to stray too far out of that color scheme. So again, it's just very visually beautiful, and there's a lot of cool and unique creatures in it too. I mean, a lot of them are pretty standard, but I feel like the way that they present them is interesting. Like there is elves, but they're like little itty tiny people that are like 1 inch tall. There's trolls and giants as well. Like I said, pretty standard stuff, but I feel like the way that they look is interesting. But it's a cute show. There's a season 2 coming out. That's why I've been rewatching it. So I'm trying to refresh my brain because it's been about 2 years since I watched the first one. But I'm looking forward to it. We'll see. I'm glad it got a season 2. I really didn't think it was going to get one, considering when I first watched it, I was like, wow, this is cute. And then here we are 2 years later, and it is getting one at least. What else? Because like I said, last time I did this, I had like a backlog of shows that I just finished. It's not really a show, but I think I mentioned this before. I was playing Phoenix Wright. I played through that in like a week because that's the kind of person I am. But I played it like on my breaks and stuff too, because as I mentioned before, it's kind of like interactive TV for a video game. You're watching the trial, but you're kind of just playing, or you're watching it. And every now and then you're like, oh, here's some evidence, or oh, this is what I think. And there's a couple times where you're like actually thinking about like, oh, how am I supposed to trick this person, or how am I supposed to present a flaw in this evidence and stuff. But like for the most part, you're like, okay, this is this, or the game will be like, I think I noticed something earlier in a picture that could properly identify what I'm talking about here, and you're like, okay, well, let me go click on the picture. But when it does throw you for a loop, you kind of sit there and go, it's usually you sit there and you go, what? Why? Or more annoyingly, you click on something and it says like, or you're clicking on the wrong piece. So there'll be 2 pieces of evidence that like show something, but you clicked on the wrong one, or you clicked out of order. So that can be annoying, especially because you get penalized for it. But whatever, you just restart if you mess up that many times. But I finished the main story. The only one I have left now is like a DLC content that came with the game pack that I bought. And it was interesting. I liked it. The one I got the Spirit of Justice game, I think, and it focused a lot on Apollo. That's Phoenix Wright's assistant, if you don't know that. But I feel it was interesting. At first when I saw Apollo, I was like, yeah, it's like he looks so boring. Why I don't want to play as Apollo. Boo. But I already bought the game, so I wasn't gonna like return it. But like the more I was playing, I was like, this is a cute story. It was really interesting. The last little bit, it was like delving into his family and blah 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 and all this other stuff. It's still very silly for a story and for the game in general, but I've still very much enjoyed it. And I'm enjoying the last little story as well. There's a lot of it's very silly, which is what's nice. and they throw like magic and time travel and stuff into the court, and you're like, well, it's just dumb when you're doing like this very serious trial. You're like, here's this evidence, and here's this evidence, and here's this evidence, and then they're like, but we can channel spirits, and we can do magic, and we can time travel now. And I'm like, so nothing could really hold up in a court of law that well when you start mixing all this stuff in. But not like this court is very serious anyways. They're kind of loose about everything. But yeah, those are the two big things I've watched / played, I guess, this week. There's only so much I can watch in 1 week because I'm doing these weekly now. But yeah, it takes a little bit of work to work on these. Speeding up the video doesn't seem like that would be a hard video to work on, but for some reason when you speed up 5 hours of content, it ends up really slowing down the programs because it's trying to render it in that quick time. So it takes a lot longer to work on than I would have expected. But we're getting kind of close to the end here. I don't really have much more to talk about that I can think of because empty brain in the morning, I should say. It's like 3:00. But hopefully you guys have been enjoying these. I really appreciate everybody that watches these. Most of you guys I know, so shout out to y'all. These have been fun to make, and I like kind of doing like my own characters, or technically our own characters since these are in-game. It's just kind of more fun. I mean, I can do fan art and stuff, but I don't really know what I want to do them for, and I don't really watch anything that's like, I guess, big and popular right now. So it's whatever, but they've been fun to work on. Again, as always, if you like my art, if you're new here, there's at @snon. That's where I post all my art and my cosplay stuff, as well as I do always have commissions open as well, especially now that I'm kind of starting to go back into digital. I always can do traditional as well, as I feel like there's a different uniqueness that comes with it. And as well, there's also, if you like anime figures and collections and stuff, I have my other Instagram that's at Desunasis, since that's supposed to be the main focus of this channel, but it hasn't worked out that way. But yeah, hopefully tune in, next week. We'll see what it'll be. I feel like I'm going to be probably doing another speed draw. Who knows what it'll be though, because I literally decide these like, an hour before I work on them. I thought about what I was going to draw like most this week, and it wasn't until like the hour right before I worked on it where I was like, oh, I'm going to draw our Final Fantasy characters. I'll just do that. But yeah, I appreciate everyone that watches this and watched to the end. So thank you so much. And of course, if you have any questions or comments or even requests, honestly, you can put that in the comments, I guess. I'll always take suggestions. But I hope you guys have a great rest of the day. And of course, if I don't talk to you, I guess, before next week, happy holidays, because that's coming up around the corner too. But bye. Oh my God.